Yo, I remember a long time ago, years past, Suge Knight was sneak dissing Harry O. I don't remember him saying his name, but everybody knew who he was talking about. I read it in an article. It was something to the effect of, you got a guy that say they uh, helped start Death Row, who now in prison, who claimed that money was stolen from him. Well, if you're a gangster, how you gonna let somebody steal money from you? It was something to that effect that I read, and I said, "Oh man, he dissing Harry O right there." Well, I found this article, this interesting article, and the article pretty much is talking about the dealings and what went wrong between Harry O and Suge Knight. So I'm gonna read it to you right here. Dealing with the devil, devil dealing cards ain't on the level. Michael Harris was beginning to send thugs to visit Suge, requesting repayment of original investment and profits from the record label. Suge's inner circle was turning them away. Apparently, Suge had double-crossed Harry O and Lydia Harris when he switched from Time Warner to Interscope for distribution. He somehow managed to redo the contracts and cut them out of everything. He even denied them ever being part of the record label. He took the phone that was designated to accept Harry O's calls away by putting a block on it, so no more collect calls could come through. The original deal for Death Row Records was a partnership between the DOC, 35%, Dr. Dre, 35%, Suge Knight, 15%, and Dick Griffey, 15%. I was the first one signed to the label, but a lot of things weren't etched in stone when I got there. And this is Jewel talking, by the way. I met Dick Griffey, and one of the artists, and one of the first things he asked for me to and one of the first things he asked was for me to sing for him. So I sang for him, and then there was this entity that we started to call the studio. That's what it says, y'all. I know it don't make no sense. The entity that we started, I don't know. We didn't have a lot of money in the beginning. We had some, but not a lot. Then the DOC had his accident and could no longer sing. His value to the venture was severely diminished, and his percentage evaporated. The DOC could no longer rap, not sing. Michael Harris, aka Harry O, came up with the seed money, some of which compensated Dick Griffey and Death Row. And Death Row was originally formed as a subsidiary of Godfather Entertainment. Lydia Harris was involved at the record label early on, and Death Row Records birthed The Chronic. So Lydia Harris was handling Harry O's business by being a part of the record label. At the same time, there was a lawsuit filed by Ruthless Records for Knight's role in taking Dr. Dre, the DOC, and Michelle A from the label. Right before The Chronic is released, Death Row Records is officially formed as a corporation with two equal shareholders, Suge Knight and Dr. Dre. Michael and Lydia Harris were out. There is an official dispute of this account. Wayman Anderson tells of Suge Knight and Death Row Records actually laundering money from Michael and Lydia Harris instead of putting up the seed money. In either case, Michael Harris was upset that Death Row Records achieved stratospheric success and he was not given a taste of the profits. He took that personally. David Kenner was lying to Harris and placing the blame at Suge Knight's feet. Yeah, because I think David Kenner was Michael O'Harris's lawyer at the time. Michael Harris had been convicted on drug charges, establishing one of the largest drug trafficking rings in America. He had ties to many other gangs that distributed his product. He was a dangerous man and very upset with Suge Knight. Even though Harris was incarcerated, he had a long reach from prison and money to make things happen. Wayman Anderson says that Michael and Lydia Harris were part of a plot to overthrow Death Row Records at the time that Tupac Shakur was killed. Now we finna have a bunch of conspiracy theories. Later, Anderson says there was money that was laundered through Death Row Records by Lydia while Michael Harris was in jail. And then they later came back and tried to say that they gave Suge money to start Death Row Records, which is totally untrue. A lot of people don't understand the dynamics or the mechanics of how the record industry works. You can get one-hit records and a record label will advance you $25 million the next morning. So there was no reason for Suge to have to get drug money to start that. His 187 cop provided them with enough cash to develop his record label. But at the same time, when you grow up in inner cities the hard way, it's hard to walk away from the individuals you grow up with. So Suge still participated with individuals who were involved in criminal activity, and in doing so, he laundered some money for Michael Harris. And then that later came back to bite him in the butt, to where she and Michael felt that they should be provided profits from Death Row Records. And when Suge basically kicked her out, Michael and herself took that very personal, and from there it was on trying to get back at Suge Knight. I don't know if so. It's not sure if Suge paid them back anything. Wayman Anderson, though unreliable, seems to confirm that there was a plot to take over Death Row Records. He states that the plot was by Lydia, and Michael Harris, aka Harry O, was affiliated with Freeway Rick Ross, and they were both affiliated with Crips, who they worked with to move their drugs around the country. It isn't a stretch to think that Michael Harris could have easily reached back to people he knew from his drug running days to topple Death Row Records. He could have easily reached out to Reggie Wright Jr., as is indicated in the confession letter, to carry out his plan. Robert J. Frank asked Anderson in his deposition, "You indicated that Michael Harris, I think you said Lydia Harris, and who else can you name as part of that conspiracy?" Anderson answers, "Those are all that I can do at this point." The article reads on, but it's cut off right here on this site. So this buys into the conspiracy theory that Reggie Wright Jr. had something to do with Tupac being killed. It buys into the conspiracy theory that Michael Harry O was using Reggie Wright Jr. to infiltrate Death Row and to take over Death Row. But it just don't make no sense. It really don't make no sense. But it's very interesting. I need to find out more info about the Reggie Wright and Michael Harry O connection. I don't think Reggie Wright ever mentioned that. Reggie Wright is still in the hospital due to COVID-19 right now. So this is to be continued. Peace.